Cool. Yeah, thank you, Steve. And thanks everyone for turning up. It's lovely to see you all here. I'm definitely in need of a bit of an uplift today. It's been a bit of a slog of a day already. Yeah, so this is all about a new product that I launched at the end of the summer, so just before term started. And yeah, I thought I'd give you a kind of introduction to the thing. Talk about some of the issues that we face when we're putting it together, and as Steve intimated, hopefully maybe encourage some of you to get involved as well, which would be brilliant. So those of you who haven't come across me before, I've been knocking around for a while. Some of you may know kind of my best known probably resource that I run, which is the Allbon website. Which was launched back in 2002, and yeah, which I think is the UK's sort of longest running law student website. I moved into academia in 2014, I think it was, and in a previous life was a university law librarian. But my thing has always been around trying to increase understanding of the law, and looking at less traditional means of kind of allowing that, and very much seeing the visual as vital as the textual in delivering information. So I do a lot of work these days with organisations who want to transform how their clients secure access to justice. But yeah, I'm interested in all sorts of ways that we can make the law more accessible, engaging, understandable, etc., etc. Just to sort of say a little bit about Allbon to begin with, and to put it into a different context. Some of you may have seen the slide before, or a version of it, so I apologise, but to put it in kind of just how long that really is since it was launched. This is in child terms, so my daughter, I used that kind of banner on the left hand side there when she was 6, which used to sit on part of Allbon to try and encourage students to write unique content for me. And then yeah, that's her this year. She's been doing a bit of like hair modeling. So yeah, I've ended up with my my blonde angel becoming a terrifying goth. Not quite sure what I did wrong there, but times change. But yeah, it's brilliant to have a resource that's like still going after such a long time, and still, you know, kind of seeking new audiences. So just as a quick summary, if you haven't come across it before, it's open to everybody. And yeah, it's got lots of different sub-sites. So there's the main Allbon. We have an events calendar, which is really comprehensive, covering all of the events that are in London, plus a few extra ones outside, and obviously all the virtual ones as well. So that's used by students, academics, lawyers as well. Then there's the hub, which is more for our students, but there is still content on there that's helpful to others. Future Lawyer, which is our blog, that's probably the most dynamic bit of the site. So I have a team of journalists who assist me with articles on that. So yeah, we do, our bread and butter is really event reviews and practitioner interviews, but we have a lot of other kind of ad hoc content as well. Learn More is skills, and then TLDR is slightly different, so I'll say a bit more about that in a sec. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff it does. So it's a sort of one-stop shop for students seeking information of all types. So yeah, hopefully lots of your students find it useful for various different things as well. So it's useful for study, but also skills stuff too. Lots of news updates, places to find kind of opportunities, whether that might be jobs, placements, internships, essay competitions, all sorts of things. But we really prize our students kind of sharing their experiences and helping others to see the sort of path they've taken and what's worked and what hasn't. TLDR, which is the kind of slightly odd 6th member of the Allbon subsites, is a showcase of my legal design work. I need to do some, I've got about another 3 or 4 projects that I need to put up, so that's going to happen over Christmas. But yeah, it's good to get a look at kind of how design is being used in law, not just in academia, but in other contexts as well. So yeah, please do have a look if you have a spare 5 minutes. Okay, so enough of the background. Today is very much about a dream that I've had for many years. I've always wanted to create, I probably need to pitch my ideas a bit higher maybe, but I've always wanted to create a resource that helps students with their essay writing. I've seen over the last few years a real decline in how many students feel confident in their essay writing, which results in, you know, where they have a choice, the majority of them will pick a problem question rather than an essay question, partly down to the grind of A-level essay writing, but could also be down to the fear of getting structure wrong. I think not being able to find a kind of foothold in essays is quite a challenge, whereas in a problem question they feel like they've got kind of everything that they need to at least get going on it. So that was my dream. I started thinking about whether or not I could repurpose a previous project that I've done. So any of you who are land lawyers out there may be familiar with Coltsfoot Vale, which is a village that I designed to help students with their land law learning. So that's housed on TLDR. And again, it's open to everybody. So you click on one of the properties and it will show you who lives there. Then it will provide a scenario and then take them through the kind of legal issues step by step. When it was launched, it was quite reasonably popular. People liked the mapped format. And I wondered if we could maybe repurpose the back end that we use for that for this, you know, very different type of journey. So this is this different map. So Kyla's essay journey is based on a map, has 22 different locations, all named with something hinting at the topic covered there. That was probably the funnest part of the project, is trying to think up the names of each of the locations and you know, tie them into whatever the kind of skill that was required was there. So we start with the dark forest of self-doubt when the essay title is released, and we finish with the garden of completion where you do your final checks before submission. Other stops include the pit of despair. That's a favourite one of mine. That's all about where to find information. The shed of caution, which is research warnings, and the Arboretum of Gratefulness, which concerns referencing. Inspiration for this very much came from me growing up as a kid and like loving films like The Princess Bride and, you know, the kind of swamps and, you know, things like that. That kind of came to mind, and I thought it would be a useful kind of narrative to thread around the sort of geographical threats, if you know what I mean. So when you click on a location, you see 4 different options. The first of these is the Kyla section. So you can see there on the where it has midpoint stones, you've got these 4 different icons. So the first one is the Kyla section, and that kicks off automatically as soon as you get in, and you learn what's going through her mind at this point. So that's kind of getting you to think about, you know, what panic is going through there. The main learning resource for each stage is the advice section, so the purple bit with a speech bubble. And this will be a video dealing with different strategies for Kyla, with advice doled out by one of the other 4 characters in the resource. There's a quiz option to test understanding, and then an extra section, which is the cross, where additional guides and resources might be housed. Empathy is an integral part of all the design work that I do, and this was of course no different. And actually it was really key to this resource. Often students feel very you know, silly and, you know, just like they're not good enough when they can't get things. So I wanted students to feel seen, I suppose, in the sense that we needed to acknowledge that essay writing is hard going and that feeling a bit lost was completely normal. Those other advice givers I mentioned are prominent in the resource. So Kyla encounters one of them or sometimes several of them in each different location. So we've got a graduate mentor, he's there on the left, then a lecturer, an academic advisor or personal tutor, and then Kyla's friend Tyler. Do not you may think, why on earth is she named 2 characters in rhyme? It was merely because both the people I used for that was their actual names, and I just kind of went with it. So yeah, apologies for the slight tweeness of that, but it's just the way it works out. There is a great deal. What's really kind of prominent is that, you know, these interactions she has are, you know, very reassuring, and, you know, as well as being reassuring, I hope it goes some way to kind of promoting the different outlets people can go to get help within the university structure, and that hopefully, you know, that has a kind of positive impact. In terms of how I got started, obviously early work was very much focused on plotting out the different steps in the journey, starting to try and draft content. And I did do a lot of that with Kyla herself. So Kyla was a student of ours, an LLB student. I can't remember, she probably graduated about 3 or 4 years ago. And she was a great student, really kind of fun and, you know, hardworking, but really down to earth as well. And so when it came to this resource, I think I'd kind of chatted over things with her anyway. It seemed to be a really good fit for her to contribute to the site, and she was really interested in doing so as well. So I did manage to get some funding together to pay her, obviously, for her contribution, but you know, she ended up doing far more than was originally planned. So yeah, so she's now a trainee solicitor. But yeah, at the early stage, we hadn't really thought about her acting in the resource at all. It was just very much about us putting content together, drafting and scripting. We had quite a lot of brainstorming sessions together in the early days, and then we wrote some content separately, some content together. I applied for support from our own lead team, which is learning enhancement and development, and thankfully was successful. So they were really great when it came to the advice section. So we were able to do a lot of the filming with them, you know, lending their expertise to that, but also when it came to the kind of animated effects, because I'll talk about illustrations in a second, but the illustrations were a big part of the resource, but we really wanted some of those to be kind of animated to bring the videos alive a little bit more. And yeah, the 2 members of that team who assisted were brilliant. They also have this kind of they built it themselves, so it's not a kind of off-the-shelf product, but they've got something called a presentation station, which meant that we could streamline high quality capture of videos against a green screen. It has like a built-in auto cue, and yeah, so you can see me and Kyla messing around with that on one of the slides, but yeah, it was really easy to use, and all of our kind of actors that we used, you know, it was done on that, and it was really effective. Humour and quirkiness vital, yeah. So the whole resource, and if you're familiar with my work, you probably know that this is something that I favour. So it has quite a quirky, sketchy look. Writing essays, let's face it, is never going to be a topic that gets people, you know, mega excited. So we had to ensure that the resource grabbed attention, and of course, you know, tried to keep it. So I wanted it to be a mixture of illustration and real people. And so the brilliant Adam Doty, who I've used on quite a number of different projects over the years, managed to take my kind of scribbled notes and sketches and bring them to life with these fantastic illustrations. So every single image was designed specifically for this project. So yeah, it's an enormous amount of work and planning. Animation was dotted throughout the resource, and it kind of allowed us to make Adam's images just that bit more engaging. So it added quite an element of fun to things. So one of the ones you can see on the screen there is Kyla's brain opening, her head opening to reveal her brain, and there's some kind of little animations that happen for that. And it just really kind of just takes the resource to a new level. Sound was also really important, and we used that, we used it sparingly, but where it was used, I think it had a good effect. And I was very lucky that Steve and Emma from Leeds just really got the ethos of the project from the beginning. So yeah, they put together some really good things. I'm wondering if I can, sorry, I've got this set up. I'm wondering if I can go in and maybe show you a few things before I carry on. Let me see if I can move this to the right bit of the screen. I'll move this to my other screen. Hopefully you can see that okay. Let's have a look at, is that okay?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. So I'll just
of completion.
show you a bit of this.
The final.
Hold it. Have you done all your final checking? I know. You just want rid of it, but you need to show the best version of yourself. Go get some fresh air, then come back and have a final read through. Imagine you're the examiner when you do this. So here's your handy checklist of what to look out for. The big one is checking that all your content goes towards answering the question set. It's so easy to go off track, and this is your last chance to catch any deviation. If content doesn't add to your argument or answer the question, cut it. Words are precious, so don't waste them on elements that won't get you marks. Your style is important too, so be sure that your language and phrasing isn't too casual. Avoid jokes within your work or lots of rhetorical questions, and try to write everything in full. For example, write "it is" rather than "it's" and "do not" instead of "don't." On the flip side, don't feel like you need to write like Shakespeare either. Lots of students get hung up on using "thus," "therefore," and "henceforth," but the key is to be clear above all. Look at how the writing is put across in your textbooks, and this should give you a good idea on how to pitch it. A more formal style may mean you need to use legal terms in preference to layperson terms too, so watch out.
I'll play some other bits in a second, but yeah, you can see the way that the different, the kind of real people interact with the illustrations, which I think works quite well to get people kind of engaged. That character is our graduate mentor, and he was quite a difficult character because kind of to give the actor a kind of spec for how he should act in it, and his performance in different clips is quite different. So he comes across quite nice in this one, but the very first clip he comes across as being a bit smug, which maybe is fine, but yeah, he's sort of telling Kyla how he got a first and all these things. But yeah, it's quite interesting seeing how the characters have kind of developed off the page as well. So in terms of so another thing that was important was consistency. So we were really careful to stick to a consistent design, and I wanted people to feel like they knew where they were with each of the characters, because it was quite a large resource, and we've got these different characters. We wanted to ensure that people got on board fairly quickly and felt familiar with each of them. So each character has their own kind of unique background in a sort of watercolor textured style. They have a specific color palette. They have a specific themed caption box, and yeah, all the dialogue captions are burnt into the final video. And we also see, this is quite an important bit, we also see interactions with the different characters in a set way. So Kyla and her academic advisor always meet via Teams. Her chats with Tyler are always via WhatsApp. So yeah, maybe I'll just quickly, let's find a couple of those to show you. So which one are we on? Number 7, I think. So if I go to number 7.
Prosperity.
So this is the academic advisor who we always see via Teams.
Hey, Kyla, it's great to see you. How's it all going?
It's fine, but I'm pretty worried about the summative and land law. I really need to boost my marks in this module and never seem to get higher than a 2-1.
Can be difficult breaking through that threshold to a first. Have you looked at feedback in your formatives to see if there are any clues?
I get really depressed looking at feedback. I don't always get what their comments mean or what they want me to change.
Honestly, Don't worry, this feeling is completely natural. It's hard to take criticism, and sometimes if you've been given a mark lower than you hoped for, you probably just want to forget about it. But this feedback's really important. Without understanding what went.
So yeah, that's the Teams one, and then I think 14 might be a WhatsApp one.
Arboretum of Gratefulness.
Let's skip to the.
I've started writing now and it's going okay, but I keep hearing scary stories about referencing and how easy it is to be found guilty of plagiarism. Sounds familiar?
Yes, our referencing has to be rock solid, but we really didn't do that at school, and there seems to be loads of different systems for doing it. Do you know which one we use?
I do know that. Something called Oscola? It's a special law one, I think. I really don't want to get it wrong. Why does it have to be so complicated?
Hey, don't get too stressed out.
There we go. And then the graduate mentor kicks in again. But yeah, they all have their one kind of format of interacting. It was quite fun to experiment with a few different formats as well. So, and I want to do more of this once the initial flurry of term and everything dies down a little bit. So we used, we've got like a narrated comic in there, which I'd like to do a few more of, which is quite good to sort of hammer home a message. And then we've also got some things that are kind of pure audio as well. So on the screen now, you can see the comic, but you can also see the one on the right was is two lecturers chatting at a conference. And yeah, you hear all the sort of hubbub of the conference in the background. And we've kind of put it in as an extra resource to show students that it's perfectly fine to disagree with what you read or hear, as long as you can back it up. So yeah, so they're quite interesting ones. You can see the comic has the Spice Girls on it, which I'm very proud of. So yeah, I think the comic is in number 11, I think. But yeah, have a look at it. I'm quite pleased that I've kind of always wanted to, when one of the things when I'm teaching legal skills and method and anything like that, I always really struggle to get students to understand why they shouldn't just rely on kind of their textbook. So I use this comic as a way of kind of aligning sources as like clothing and how you pick your outfit and how people judge you, even though they shouldn't. But people judge you on your clothing, and it's kind of similar with sources. You know, if we can't see they've used a diverse number of sources, you know, that's when problems may arise. But yeah, I won't play that now, but it's worth having a look if you have time. In terms of accessibility, obviously we did a fair amount. So I've just put some of the things that we did on the screen there. There is still some work to do, so get some additional funding. What I'd like to do is do a flat version of the map, which I think would be really, really helpful. But yeah, that's quite a lot of extra programming, so I'm going to need a bit of a chunk of money for that, so I'll keep working on it. And obviously in terms of like not accessibility, but in terms of technical tools, you know, we did use quite a lot of useful resources to kind of cut down the time it would take in terms of editing. So there's like a AI morph transition in Premiere where you can kind of join pieces of the recording together where we had mistakes, or, you know, we decided on cutting material. And I know that the lead team made use of the Premiere speed tool to produce kind of extensions and contractions, where particularly the academic advisor had a very slow way of talking, and so we needed to kind of speed him up and like fill in the gaps when he was pausing. So yeah, that made that a lot more helpful, which was good. So yeah, Kyla's essay journey is open to everybody. So I've had some really lovely messages from people saying that they're using it in their classes and they're recommending it to students, which is amazing. And I would, you know, a lot of work went into it, and I would love for that to happen across the country. So part of it is obviously useful to use in the context of skills teaching, but also for signposting as well. So, you know, if you're giving students individual feedback on their work, you know, you could potentially, you know, flag for them, you know, go and look at location 14 on Kyla's essay journey for more help with this particular skills development. So yeah, I can sort of see it being useful for that. And yeah, I'd love to have some help with the extras sections. So yeah, if anyone fancies writing a little piece on something or doing a little bit of audio or anything really, or a comic, or yeah, I'm completely open. But the extra section is a kind of mix of materials, but it's designed for, you know, the stuff we couldn't, obviously for each of the videos has to be reasonably snappy. There's one, I think the longest one is the one about referencing, which I had a real battle on my hands, because the we also had like a manager assigned from lead to the project, and I had quite a few battles with them about things that I felt were important, but they felt we could kind of skip over a bit more quickly. And I did dig in on that one because I felt it was necessary. Yeah, the extras are designed to kind of back up or give extra information where the video didn't cover something. So I've had some really, really great guides from my colleagues, but also from colleagues at other universities as well. And yeah, I'm going to be doing some, when my marking's hopefully going to be done by the end of the week. And then I'm going to be shifting back to this. And I think I've got about another 6 or 7 things that people have submitted to me to go up. So I need to get them all formatted and ready to go. So if you do want to contribute something, that would be brilliant, because it would help, you know, such a wide audience. So yeah, they can be very simple, like just a 1-pager, or they can be something much more complicated. So yeah, I've just shown a few examples on there. So some are very kind of specific and quite niche to certain things. Others are more kind of generic. So, you know, critical thinking, for example. But yeah, some really, really amazing stuff has been created so far. Quick quote from Kyla, which I procured from her last week. So yeah, she's obviously been a dream to work with, but she's also been really, really proud of her involvement, and yeah, and the thought that it might, you know, she might be being, her character might be being seen from many different institutions as well. But yeah, she was a very, very good partner to have in this project. Okay, so I'll just have a quick, how are we doing for time, Steve? Have I got like a couple of minutes just to talk about legal design more generally?
All the time you need. Oh,
cool. Okay. Brilliant. So I just thought I'd mention a couple of the kind of wider projects that I do, just in case anyone was interested. Yeah, here's just a few examples of the work that I've been involved in. So as I said, I often work with organisations to look at how to change the way that they communicate with their clients potentially. So on the left is this is one from quite a few years ago, but I worked with an educational charity, Leducate, and they do amazing training to schools on loads of different issues, usually kind of older secondary school kids. And although their classes were brilliant, like really, really well structured and interesting and whatever, they didn't have the kind of in-class materials to kind of reflect that. So they were often, you know, they were just Word documents that weren't engaging or anything. So I did quite a lot of work on one of their topic areas, which was relationships and consent, and then really tried to, you know, throw everything at it in terms of converting that content that was mostly textual into a lot more visual content to kind of trigger thinking rather than trying to give it to them, you know, all in one place. And there was, you know, some really, really good feedback from their classes, and yeah, people were being quite creative. And we also gave them the opportunity in a couple of exercises to, you know, to create their own kind of understanding of the law in a visual way as well. So yeah, that was a fun project. When I do a legal skills book with an ex-colleague of mine, Sam Meat, who's now at Queen Mary. And so when we were doing the second edition of that, we wanted to sort of tell the story. We didn't really want to, but we thought we should tell the story of Brexit and how it all kind of unfolded. So again, I kind of felt it was worth doing in a kind of visual way as well, to try and bring alive the full horror for the whole story. So yeah, so that's in the book. It's been a bit unfortunate in that the publishers weren't great in relation to how they put that together, which we'll have to address for any subsequent edition. But you can download it from TLDR and have a look at it in its full glory. On the far right hand side is quite a big international project I've been involved in for quite a few years now. And this is a project based in Nepal, and it focuses on sexual and reproductive health rights. So Nepal has a really amazing and quite inspirational way that they accommodate these rights. So they're in the constitution, and there's been some really just amazing case law that's come out of the Supreme Court there as well, in relation to these rights. But as you can probably guess, implementation not so hot. So we've been creating a toolkit with iPro Bono, the NGO, to kind of facilitate conversations. So obviously to assist the women themselves, but also to facilitate conversations to lots of different stakeholders, just to try and get these kind of issues, much better understood. So empathy is a massive part of that project. But yeah, we've created this toolkit, and actually last Thursday, yeah, it was only a few days ago, we did a kind of sort of official launch at the House of Lords, which was quite exciting. So yeah, that project has it's still got quite a lot of legs in terms of where we're going next. But yeah, you can download a version of that online as well. And then a very recent one that I'm sort of part of the way through working on is with a really lovely family charity called Dad's House. And they put together an emotional toolkit to help their dads who were going to court for the first time around contact. And so, yeah, I've been working with a colleague of mine at Reading, who's an information designer. And yeah, we've been really enjoying it. There's so much to, again, Word document needed a big overhaul, but also it's turned into something much bigger in terms of resources that we're going to eventually provide. But it's been great working with them. We had a really excellent workshop with about 6 or 7 dads, must be about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, which was massively beneficial to the project. And we got so many useful insights as well to kind of detail how we're going to go ahead. But yeah, it's really useful to have lots of these projects on the go. So yeah, next term, I'm hoping to run an event actually, which I'll let everyone know about before, obviously in plenty of time. But I'm thinking about running an event on communicating the law and making it like quite a big interactive event, which will include some legal design type stuff, but also possibly legal journalists, judges. Yeah, should be hopefully fun. But that's my kind of thing to get onto after Christmas. So yeah, there's some links and stuff if anyone wants to follow them up later. Obviously, I've got a book on design and legal education, which is worth a look. And yeah, that is it from me. But thank you so much for listening. Let me end that show and then I'll get back